Well, the next one I came up with is actually brewed right here in the Tampa Bay area. It's brewed at the St. Somewhere Brewery in Tarpon Springs. They actually have 3 different beers that they make. This is the Lectio Divina. This one is the Saison Athena, and this is Pays du Soleil. This is a brand new beer that they came out with about 2 months ago. They're all Saisons, but they're very untraditional Saisons. Saisons are a French farmhouse ale, and they used to be made on farms by the people who actually worked on the farms themselves. They were made to be very light, refreshing, and also sustenance for guys who are working out in the fields. Well, Bob's twisted them up quite a bit, and he's taking some liberties, and they're still wonderful beers. The one I prefer the most is the Lectia Divino, and it's amber, which is actually very unusual for a Saison. Usually a Saison is going to be
this doesn't
very
look like
yellow.
This looks, okay.
Right. But this one is my favorite. It has some wine notes. It's also got some spices in it that he puts in that nobody else would ever put in a farmhouse, which are generally like just very straightforward, light ales. This one here, as I say, of the 3, is certainly my favorite. It's also the oldest one that he's been making for a while.
Okay. Mind if I give that a shot?
I would be sad if you didn't.
You know, speaking of wine notes, I mean, I've seen, I think it was Dogfish Head, they make a beer much in the same size as this bottle, and I could have swore that they mix in a wine. Is it like a Pinot Noir or some kind of wine base?
Yes, actually, the one you talked about is red and white. It is sold in 750 milliliter bottle, and like the Curio, it is aged in oak barrels. It's made with unfermented Pinot Noir grapes and a double white beer. White beer being like what Blue Moon is a white beer. White ale. They make a double white beer, which means it's extra heavy, more gravity, and a lot more alcohol content. Mix the Pinot Noir in there and age that, and the result is pretty darn good.
Do you think that's going to be more of a common trend with craft brewers, like mixing in different elements, not just sticking with traditional beer ingredients, but maybe moving on to wine, or like you mentioned, besides whiskey notes, maybe bring in some spirits into the brewing process?
Actually, I can't say. I guess maybe actually putting some spirits into it might be the next step. But there was a trend. I call it a trend as it was like very faddish for a little while with the whiskey notes, the aging in barrels, or with wood from barrels. But it seemed to mellow out, and now it's actually just becoming kind of an accepted part of the process, as opposed to like, oh, I've got to get myself a wood-aged beer because everybody else is. Now it's becoming just a well-used process, a good technique to enhance some beers. Like I said, this is a special, like they took one of their wonderful beers already and just made a special version of it. And there's a few other people doing it with good effect, so keep your eyes out for that.
All right, before we get into glassware, and I definitely want to talk about that, let me ask you this. I mean, you've got such a great variety of beer here. What's your best-selling beer right now? What's your most popular?
You know, when we have this many beers, it's hard to say that we sell any one so well. I mean, I have 40 tap lines here, and it's like not any one of them outsells another by a mile. I mean, I always sell Stella Artois, always sells well here. I do well with Brooklyn Lager, Avita Amber, Blue Point Toasted Lagers, making a dent in that market too. Sierra Nevada Pale Ale is always a winner here. And Guinness, Guinness is always a solid one. I'd say that those certainly would be within my top 10 all the time.
What would you say of the beers that you have here to choose from? What would you say is probably represents the best value?
Best value. Well, Yingling's always a solid buy.
I agree. I really do.
There's actually a Belgian beer that we do that is a very fair price. It's called Brasserie de Rock, and they have a few different flavors that we carry here. And it's a very, very competitive price compared to like all their other counterparts. And honestly, I think one of their beers, the Grand Cru, is among the best of that style I can find anywhere. So if you happen to be able to get it for an extra $1 or $2 less, that doesn't hurt anybody either.
Yeah, hear that. All right. If you had to have one beer or like one style of beer for the rest of your life, you couldn't, in wine, we say you want to have all different kinds of wines, different complements, different things, or different, could be whatever the mood strikes you. Is there one beer that you had to stick with for the rest of your life? What would it be?
The style would definitely be an American Pale Ale, and I think that style is best represented by Sierra Pale Ale. It's light, it's crisp, it's got Cascade hops, which to me is the most wonderful scent I've ever come across, and I can drink that night and day. So that would definitely be my desert island beer.
Okay. And do you have a favorite toast?
Well, I do like to say to my friends, good in ya.
Good in ya.